Kusadasi, Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ. Kusadasi là một đô thị và huyện của tỉnh Aden, Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ. Diện tích của nó là 265 km vuông và dân số là 130.835, 2022. Đây là một thị trấn nghỉ mát lớn trên bờ biển Aegean. Kusadasi cách Izmir 95 km 59 dặm về phía nam và cách Aden khoảng 60 km 37 dặm về phía tây. Ngành công nghiệp chính của đô thị là du lịch. Thị trưởng của huyện là Omeguino. Từ nguyên học Viversinada, đảo bồ câu có tên tương tự như Kusadasi, đảo chim. Cái tên Kusadasi xuất phát từ các từ tiếng Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ Kus chim và Ada đảo. Vì hòn đảo này có hình đầu chim khi nhìn từ biển. Nó được gọi là Ephesus Neapolis trong thời kỳ Byzantine và sau đó là Scala Nova hoặc Scala Nuova dưới thời Genova và Venice. Kusadasi đã được thông qua ở vị trí của nó trong thời kỳ Ottoman vào đầu thế kỷ 20. Ngày nay, người dân Kusadasi thường rút ngắn tên thị trấn thành Ada. Lịch sử: một bãi biển ở Kusadasi với đảo Viversinada ở phía sau, bên phải. Khu vực này đã từng là trung tâm nghệ thuật và văn hóa kể từ một số lịch sử được ghi lại sớm nhất và đã có nhiều nền văn minh định cư kể từ khi được người Lelechis thành lập vào năm 3000 trước công nguyên. Những người định cư sau này bao gồm người Ilian vào thế kỷ năm 11 trước công nguyên và người Ionian vào thế kỷ thứ 9. Ban đầu, các thủy thủ và thương nhân đã xây dựng một số khu định cư dọc theo bờ biển, bao gồm cả Neapolis. Một tiền đồn của Ephesus ở Ionia cổ đại được gọi là Pizella. Nằm ở khu vực giữa sông Viugmender, Maiander và Gedis Hermos. Neapolis ban đầu được cho là đã được thành lập ở địa điểm gần đó là Ilansi Bernu. Các khu định cư sau này có lẽ đã được xây dựng trên sườn đồi Pilap-Tepe thuộc quận Andiskulesi ngày nay. Kusadasi là một cảng nhỏ nơi các tàu thuyền buôn bán dọc theo bờ biển Aegean thường xuyên lui tới. Vào thời cổ đại, nó bị Ephesus làm lu mờ cho đến khi bến cảng của Ephesus bị bồi lấp. Từ thế kỷ thứ 7 trước công nguyên trở đi, bờ biển được cai trị bởi người Lydian từ thủ đô của họ tại Sadi, sau đó từ năm 546 trước công nguyên là người Ba Tư và từ năm 334 trước công nguyên. Cùng với toàn bộ Anatolia, bờ biển đã bị Alexander Đại Đế chinh phục. Từ thời điểm đó, các thành phố ven biển ở Anatolia trở thành trung tâm của văn hóa Hy Lạp. Roma và Kitô giáo. Đế chế La Mã chiếm hữu bờ biển vào thế kỷ thứ 2 trước công nguyên và biến nó thành thủ phủ của tỉnh trong những năm đầu của Kitô giáo. Thánh Gioan Tông Đồ và theo truyền thống thiêng liêng của Công giáo La Mã, Đức Trinh Nữ Maria đều đến sống ở khu vực mà trong thời kỳ Kitô giáo được gọi là Ania. Khi các chủ hàng Byzantine, Venice và Genova bắt đầu buôn bán dọc theo bờ biển, cảng được thành lập lại với tên Scala Nova hoặc Scala Nuova, có nghĩa là cảng mới. Một đơn vị đồn trú được đặt trên đảo và trung tâm thị trấn chuyển từ sườn đồi ra bờ biển. Vườn quốc gia Kusadasi. Rất lâu sau đó, vào năm 1834, lâu đài và đồn trú trên đảo được xây dựng lại và mở rộng trở thành tâm điểm của thị trấn. Điều này đến mức mọi người bắt đầu gọi toàn bộ thị trấn là Kusadasi, đảo chim. Tuy nhiên, vào thế kỷ 19, thương mại bắt đầu suy giảm, nhường chỗ cho các thành phố lân cận khác với việc mở tuyến đường sắt Izmir-Sosukaidan đi qua Kusadasi. Từ năm 1867 đến năm 1922, Kusadasi là một phần của Aden Vilayet. Trong chiến tranh giành độc lập của Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ, Kusadasi bị chiếm đóng từ năm 1919 năm 1922, đầu tiên là bởi quân đội Ý từ ngày 14 tháng 5 năm 1919 đến ngày 24 tháng 5 năm 1922, sau đó là quân đội Hy Lạp. lực lượng Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ do Mustafa Kemal Atatürk chỉ huy cuối cùng đã giành được quyền kiểm soát thành phố vào ngày 7 tháng 9 năm 1922. Dưới thời Cộng hòa Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ, dân số Hy Lạp được trao đổi với người Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ như một phần của trao đổi dân số giữa Hy Lạp và Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ vào năm 1923. Đây là một huyện thuộc tỉnh Izmir cho đến khi được chuyển sang tỉnh Aden vào ngày 27 tháng 6 năm 1957. Địa lý, thành phố nằm dọc theo vịnh cùng tên ở Aegean, đảo Wiversinada tiếng Anh. Đảo Pisan được nối với đất liền Kusadasi bằng một đường đắp cao và nằm tiếp giáp với ngọn đồi lớn Kusadasi gần trung tâm thị trấn. Nó nằm cách Izmir, trung tâm đô thị của khu vực 95 km 59 dặm về phía nam và cách tỉnh lỵ Aden khoảng 60 đến 70 km 37 đến 43 dặm tùy thuộc vào tuyến đường được đi. Các nước láng giềng của nó là Selçuk ở phía bắc, Germansik ở phía đông bắc và Sot ở phía đông và phía nam. Nhân khẩu học, quận Kusadasi có tổng dân số là 130.835 người vào năm 2022. Mặc dù dân số thực tế được cho là sẽ tăng lên hơn nửa triệu người trong những tháng mùa hè do lượng khách du lịch trong nước và quốc tế cũng như những người đến thăm gia đình hoặc người thân tăng đáng kể trở về nơi ở mùa hè của họ. Điều này cũng bao gồm nhân viên khách sạn và quán bar. Công nhân xây dựng và tài xế được yêu cầu làm việc cho các nhà hàng và các dịch vụ khác phục vụ những du khách này. Ngoài khách du lịch từ nước ngoài, còn có một cộng đồng người nước ngoài đáng kể đã định cư lâu dài trong khu vực. Kinh tế, công viên quốc gia đồng bằng bán đảo Dilik Kusadasi phục vụ khách du lịch đến bằng đường bộ hoặc từ cảng cho hành khách đi tàu du lịch đến Ephesus. Trong một thỏa thuận gây tranh cãi vào năm 2003 cần dẫn nguồn, cảng thuộc sở hữu công trước đây đã được cho một công ty tư nhân thuê và cải tạo để thu hút các tàu du lịch sang trọng. Khu vực này có một số bãi biển địa phương nổi tiếng, bao gồm bãi biển Lady, bãi biển ở trung tâm, các bãi biển giữa khách sạn Batihan và địa điểm Nazili. Bãi biển ở Kusadasi và bãi biển công viên quốc gia đồng bằng bán đảo Dilik được nhắc đến bởi người dân địa phương gọi đơn giản là Mili Park. Vận tải, có phương tiện giao thông công cộng trong thị trấn và đến các địa điểm lân cận bằng xe buýt nhỏ đưa đón Domus. Có dịch vụ xe buýt và taxi đi đến các sân bay gần đó ở Izmir và Bodrum. Tỉnh Bukla, các chuyến đi trong ngày được cung cấp bằng thuyền từ Kusadasi và Kusadasi. Thành phố này là cảng ghé của một số tàu du lịch. Cảng được kết nối bằng đường cao tốc 6 làn xe đến sân bay Adnan Menderes của Izmir. Một số đường quốc lộ nối thành phố với các quận xung quanh như Germansik và Aden. Có dịch vụ phà hàng ngày đến đảo Samos của Hy Lạp gần đó. Đến xe buýt Kusadasi là một trung tâm giao thông. Xe buýt kết nối thành phố với các vùng khác nhau của đất nước. Các nơi tham quan, bãi biển Quý Bà Tường Thành xưa có 3 cổng, còn lại một cái. Nhà thờ Hồi giáo Kusadasi được xây dựng vào năm 1618 bởi Grand Vizier Okut Kara Mehmet Pasha. Okut Mehmet Pasha Karavanserai nằm gần bến cảng. Nó được xây dựng vào năm 1618 như một căn phòng kiên cố cho hàng hóa của thủy thủ. Kusadasi, đảo Bồ Câu trong tiếng Anh, bán đảo ở cuối vịnh nơi có lâu đài và các bãi biển để bơi lội, bao gồm bãi biển riêng và quán cà phê với tầm nhìn xuyên qua vịnh đến cảng Kusadasi. Các bãi biển công cộng nằm ở phía sau bán đảo, hướng ra biển khơi. Kiratli, ngôi làng truyền thống của Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ cách Kusadasi 12 km 7,5 dặm. Ilansi Bernu, bán đảo thứ hai ngoài Rivechin Ada, có thể là vị trí định cư ban đầu của Neapolis. Một số bức tường có thể nhìn thấy được. có những bãi biển và câu lạc bộ bãi biển ở đây. Một số công viên nước với hồ tạo sóng và đường trượt nước trắng nằm gần thị trấn. Bãi biển Quý Bà rất gần trung tâm thị trấn, một trong những điểm thu hút khách du lịch chính. Kusadasi, lâu đài Venice, Byzantine, 10 km, 6,2 dặm dọc theo đường Kusadasi ra Butler. Panyanium, 25 km, 16 dặm về phía nam Kusadasi, nằm dọc theo đường ra Butler Kusadasi. Từng là nơi gặp gỡ trung tâm của liên đoàn Ionian. Các di tích đang trong tình trạng tồi tàn và tính xác thực của chúng vẫn còn đang bị tranh cãi. Vườn quốc gia đồng bằng bán đảo Reliquio Mender cách trung tâm thành phố khoảng 30 km, 19 dặm về phía nam. Vườn quốc gia tiếp giáp với thị trấn Kusadasi. Nó có một số vịnh nhỏ, bãi biển, hẻm núi và hang động chính. Đây là một trong những công viên quốc gia đa dạng và được bảo vệ nhất ở Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ.
They were reading and discussing about the location of the house mentioned in the provisions of Aunt Catherine Emmerich. By the way, did you see the movie The Passion of Christ, made by Mel Gibson? All the details of the Lord on Via Dolorosa is taken from the visions of Aunt Catherine Emmerich. I don't know. Did you read the book? So if you like to read the book of those two books, right? And if you have an iPhone, I'm not promoting iPhone, but I have it on my phone. I can share it with you. For those who like, right? With AirDrop, I can share it immediately. Then you can share in between, because those are very important books. In this book, at page 23, 323, is mentioning the location of the house where Mary and John lived. John the Apostle. So they were discussing this location in the school. One worker at the school who was from that area said, I know this location. So at the end of 19th century, Maria Manda de Grancey, that was an important nun, Eugène Paulin, a teacher at the school, and few others came to this area, look for the house. They came up to the mountain, and they were almost going to go back, because the mountain on which we have the house of Virgin Mary is a very large mountain full with trees. It was very difficult, and that time, at 19th century, the town of Selçuk that we are going to pass by, the modern Ephesus, was a small town of 4,000, but 45% were Greek Orthodox. And on the mountain they were thirsty. They met two Greek girls who were shepherds. They said, do you have water? They said, no, we don't have water, but you can go to the monastery. They went to the monastery, and the location, which is called as monastery, was exactly the same as mentioned in the book of Aunt Catherine Emmerich. The house was the same, the view was the same, location was the same. Though, at the end of 19th century, in the Catholic world, because those were Catholics, right, Franciscan Catholics. We still have Franciscan monks right over there. Father Roberto is a quite good friend of mine. That we know each other since almost like 25 years. Now, they decided to do what? So finally, the discussions went on and on and on. And at 1951, the Pope Pius XII, right, declared this place as a pilgrimage place for Christians. 1951. At 1960, the Pope John XXIII, right, he was mentioned as Turkish Pope because he was a cardinal in Istanbul, and he could fluently speak Turkish, and he knew this geography very well. He just gave all the privileges which was granted to the cave in Jerusalem, right, to this house as well. So, have you been to Holy Land? So you remember, down by the Gardens of Gethsemane, when you pass by the Jewish cemetery, there is a cave, which is considered to be the Assumption Cave of Mary, in which you have a big Greek Orthodox and Armenian Orthodox, a very tiny, weeny Catholic church, because Catholics were not the citizen of Ottoman Empire, so that's Ottomans permitted them to build larger churches for the Greeks. So discussion was this, whether she was accepted there or here. And finally, John 23rd finished this and gave equal privileges in both sides. So whenever you go for pilgrimage in this cave of ascension, it will be the same value coming right up here as well. That's another place, you know. In the house of Mary is in Nasira, right? There is a big Catholic church at the place of the house of Mary. Well, not like Bethlehem. Bethlehem is the location of the birth, right? And I led groups to Israel. I've been in Holy Land more than 30 times. We were going to go this year on January, right, on 9th, but it is cancelled, you know, for the reasons or because of this war reason. If not every year, I'm going to Holy Land every year, once at least. So anyway, this place became an important place for pilgrimage, and at 1967 there was no tourism in Turkey, right? But this was an important place. I need to tell you, Turkey is like second Holy Land. We have 34 sites mentioned in the Bible exist in Turkey. If you like, right, this is the whole Turkey, right? Eastern Turkey is a high mountains, and here we have Mount Ararat, 5,100 meters, where Noah's Ark landed. Then we have two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, mentioned in the Bible, in the Old Testament, 4 of the 2 rivers of the Eden Garden, right? The others were Gihon and Pishon. We don't know where they are. Most probably they are somewhere in Iran. This area between those 2 rivers is called Mesopotamia, or as mentioned in the book of Abraham for an Old Testament, Padan Aram, the kingdom of Padan Aram. And this is the location where we have the city of Ur, right, which is considered to be the birthplace of Abraham. It's in Turkey, right, close to River Euphrates. And afterward, with Sarah, he made his trip right down to Egypt, and he came back to where? Haran. Haran is in Turkey, still over there. And his son Isaac, right, never came right here, but he got married here. So Rebecca, Isaac's wife, was from Haran. So when Jacob, right, escaped from his brother Esau, you remember the Bible, right? He came to Haran and got married over there. And because that was his motherland, and he came to see his uncle and got married right over there and lived for 20 years. And in Haran, we have still a Christian community living right over there. Those are Syriac Orthodox people. And there is one location with a natural spring which is considered to be the Jacob well. You remember the well mentioned in the Bible is still over there in Haran. Right, yes. I was there just last week. No, there is one Jacob's well in Haran. Yeah. This is according to Syriac Orthodox tradition, right? There is one, because Jacob lived over there for 14 years. Then he just came back. And, Christianity was born in Jerusalem and in Israel, but you remember after stoning of St. Stephen, right? Apostles and some Christians abandoned Jerusalem. Actually, the one who stayed behind was James the Righteous, the half brother of the Lord, and they came right up here. There is one city called Antioch ad Orontum, Antiochia. This was a big cosmopolitan city. First time in the history, according to Acts of Apostles chapter 6, right? The followers of the way is called Christiani, the followers of Christ. So this is the city of Antioch. Yeah, and right next we have another important city in Turkey right here. This is the city of Tarsus. Tarsus is right here in Turkey. Then the third missionary trip of Paul, right? The third one, which had happened between 53 to 57, started from Antioch, went around the Cilician Gate. We still have over there ancient Roman roads that you can walk over, and then just came up to Derbe, Lystra, Iconium, Pisidian Antioch, and Ephesus. So that he took this road. And this area is called Galatian land. You remember Paul has an epistle to Galatians. And this is Galatian land. No, and this city is the city of Perge, where Paul and Barnabas came first from the island of Cyprus, right? It's in Turkey. And in Western Turkey we have the 7 churches of Apocalypse mentioned in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. Thus, for sure, Ephesus is the first one. The second one is Smyrna, it's an harbor city. The third one is Pergamum, right, which was an important capital. The fourth one is Thyatira, right here. And the fifth one is Sardis. Then you have Philadelphia and Laodicea. It's all in this area. It's not, none of them is not more than 150 kilometers away from Ephesus. They are all in the same vicinity and all mentioned in the Bible. But Ephesus is the most important one because in the ancient times, Ephesus was one of the richest city of Roman imperial period. 2000 years ago, the population of Ephesus at the time of John and Paul was around 90,000. And a couple of years later, at 2nd century AD, 1,800 years ago, the population of Ephesus was 250,000. And why Mary came here? Because from the Holy Land to here is such a distance. First of all, the harbor of Ephesus, was one of the major harbor of ancient times where all the maritime routes intersected. So it was very easy to find a ship from Akko, and where St. Peter set sail, you remember, to Ephesus. It was a trip of 2 or 3 weeks. And Ephesus was also a cosmopolitan city. And we know that after stoning of Stephen, or half-brother of the Lord James the Righteous, John and Mary abandoned the Jerusalem for a while. According to saying of N. Catherine Emmerich, they come here. So why they just come here? First of all, we need to understand that you remember the Gospel of John when Jesus saw the apostle whom Jesus loved. At the end of the book he says, it was me, John, and Mary on the other side. He said, here is your mother and here is your son. Like John the Baptist, John the apostle was also cousin of Jesus. If you revise the Bible, right, in the book of Mark, they give the names of the woman around the cross, and one of them, it says, the mother of the sons of Zebedee. The sons of Zebedee are John and James. And in the book of Matthew, it says the sister of Mary. And in the book of John, the name is giving Salome. Those two things are big clue for us, because we know Mary was cousin with Salome through her father Eli, the grandfather Eli, the father of Joachim, the grandfather Eli, like Elizabeth. So like John the Baptist, John the apostle supposed to be the cousin of Jesus. That's why Mary was entrusted to him by the Lord. I'm not saying that this the Bible is saying. I'm just trying to put things together in the history. Now, if you know, I'm very sure you heard about the Nicene Council, right? The first ecumenical council ever gathered. The Nicene Creed is the creed of all Christians today. In Nicene Council, there were several decisions taken by the bishops, right? That's very interesting. This had happened at 325 AD, and they had 318 bishops participated. 318 is an interesting number because when God made the covenant with Abraham, he circumcised himself, then afterward Isaac and Ishmael, and afterward his servants. The number of the servants are 318. And in the ancient times, right, in the Greek alphabet, they didn't have in the Greek period, they didn't have numbers. Letters were the numbers at the same time. So 300 was one letter, right? It is X letter. 10 and 8, two different letters, right? And 10 is R, like Christ, like Christos in Greek, X and R. And 8 is Tau, T, symbolizing the cross. It's not accidental that number 318 was chosen, and that's why Constantine gathered 318 people, and they just wrote down the creed. But when we say wrote down the creed, it is a little strong word, because whenever this decision was taken by the bishops, like the apostles of Jesus did once, all together they were saying one thing: it seemed good to us, which means we are filled with Holy Spirit, and with the Holy Spirit filling us, we are taking this decision, right? And during this time, they declared the Western Turkey as bishopric of John. And that's why, because they were believing that when the missions were given to apostles by the Lord, the Western Turkey was the mission of John. That's why John came here with Mary. And for sure the capital of the whole Western Turkey was, right, Ephesus. They came to Ephesus, but being in Ephesus could be a little bit dangerous for Lord's mother. That's why they decided to go on the mountain. Technically, today we are going to use a road which is built by Vatican. If not, on the other side of the hills, we don't see it from here, there was a path, that smooth path you can climb. I did this climb. In the last 30 years of my life, I'm doing only pilgrimage tours. We did this climb, but not with the ship passengers for sure, but with the, how I may say, people coming to stay longer in Turkey. It takes around 6 hours. So it is a smooth road, can be done with donkeys, which reaches to the peak of the mountain, which is 400 meters high, and where we have the house. But today we are going to use a proper road for the bus built by Vatican before the visit of Pope Paul VI. 21st of July 1967, Pope Paul VI came here, and he just visited the house, and he led a mass in Ephesus. So, according to Bible, Acts of Apostles, right, chapter 18, when Paul was on his way to Jerusalem to meet the pillars of the church, right, he came here and he met 12 people calling themselves disciples, baptized with the baptism of the John the Baptist. This is the baptism used by John the Apostle as well, right? You can see the beautiful trees and orchards, and this is Ephesus area on the right hand side. We're going to go there, and so which means the biblical fact is telling us that John was here, and he is the one who converted those, because in the ancient tradition, if someone is calling himself disciple, should be converted by an apostle. So we know that John and Paul never met each other right here. And I want you to look at this castle right over there. John, after a while, you know, he's exiled to island of Patmos from here. We are going to talk about it. And when he came back from Patmos, instead of living in the city of Ephesus, he preferred to live on top of this hill. And he passed away right here, but Greek Orthodox people don't believe this because God promised him that he's going to be ascended. But in the place where he lived and where they think he passed away, they built a church and a tomb chamber, but there are no relics in the tomb chamber, and that's why the people of Ephesus abandoned the location when they were Christian and came to live here, because this is the place where we have a huge church built to the name of Saint John, in which there is the tomb chamber of Saint John. So this is the last Ephesus, Christian Ephesus. But unfortunately, this church collapsed down with the earthquake of 14th century, only a few things left behind. And we'll pass by Ephesus and go to the house of Virgin Mary, which is located on the right hand side of these windmills. But don't worry, we are not going to climb by walk, we will just go by bus, not by donkeys anymore at all. Donkeys are not good. So but still, in Santorini, you still use donkeys to climb up or go down. In Santorini, they still have donkeys around. Bu benim kullanacağım parça nerede? Neyse, alırım ben. So, Isa. It's another 7-8 minutes. Right when we go to the house. Okay, I'm just going to now. We will just, we have more time. I'll give you the microphone before we come there. So now we are going to pass by the city of Ephesus. Right on. We are going to pass by the upper part of the city of Ephesus. This is a biblical tour, right? You're from? Where do you come from? USA. Which part? Everywhere. Oh, not one particular part. 7 different states. Wow, interesting. Generally, church groups are coming from one state, right? That's why I'm asking. 7 different states. Well, good. Like 7 churches. Yeah, Laodicea is not the one wanted liked by the guy, right? The only one never received the grace of God and only criticism. Yeah. So we are now, you see the city walls right in front of us. You see there is one wall we will pass by, and on the left hand side of this wall you see those 2 cypress trees. It's not very visible, but this wall and the area of cypress trees where we have this modern road, under this road we have old Roman roads. And on the 3rd missionary trip, which was around 53 to 57, Paul walked all east, or they used horses or others, and walked and came to the city. Arkamızda kimse var mı? Biraz yavaşlasana. Came to the city through this gate. You see, this was part of the gate of Ephesus, this wall, from the time of Paul. Take the picture on the right hand side. You see, and the remains of this stones on right here, and the stones in front of us, right? It is part of the gate of Ephesus. And yeah, this is the city wall, and this is the part of the gate of Ephesus, you see, on the right hand side, through which Paul passed at 54 or 55 AD, and he stayed in the city of Ephesus for 2.5 years. In here, because it was between 53 to 57. In the Bible says 3 years, but Greek tradition or Yeah, no. In the ancient times, they didn't have 2.5. If it was 2.4, it was 2. It was 2.6 or 2.5, it's 3. That's why in the biblical original text says 3 months, right? 3 years, but technically 30 months, which is 2.5 years. He stayed right in this city. Now this is the place where they get off and enter Ephesus as well. So on the right hand side you see gel anan var, gel. Ne yapıyorsun sen ya? Ne yapıyorsun sen ya? Eşşoğlu eşşoğlu. Yeni mi geldi? Bizim var o şeydi. So look at the right hand side. This is Ephesus. All Ephesus. One of the churches of the Apocalypse. So here we have the statue of Mother Mary on the right hand side, erected here by Vatican at year 2000. On the way down we were going to stop in the corner and take a picture. But we first, let's go to the house of Mary, because you remember there's a big ship. When the passenger of the big ship starts, that's a small house. We can wait an hour or an hour and a half. When the crowd started, we are going to go there before the crowd starts, not to wait too long at the entrance of the house. So the story is Aunt Catherine Mary, she's telling us that she was right here, and a while later she wanted to go back to Jerusalem with St. John. And when she went back to Jerusalem over there, she was not feeling bad, according to visions of Aunt Catherine Emmerich. Then they prepared the cave, which is the cave of Assumption today. But afterwards she said, no, I'm good, and wanted to come back here. The reason is, when they came and to live right here, there was a holy spring. We're going to have a sip from the holy spring, right? And if you have a pen and paper, you can write a wish. Because generally after the visit, right, people are lighting a candle, having a sip from the Holy Spirit, and they are just writing a wish and putting on the wall, right? Yeah, like in Jerusalem, right? Like in the Wailing Wall. And she decided came here because next to the house there is a hill, like Jesus walked on Via Dolorosa. She identified 12 steps to be able to continue grieving for the Lord, for her son. Though whenever she didn't feel good one more time, she told John that he may call the apostles. Some of them came right here, and then when she passed away, they buried her in a cave right on top of the hill. And Saint Thomas, according to saying visions of Aunt Catherine Emmerich, was late. So he said, I want to see the body in the cave. They opened the cave, the body was not there. So they all eyewitnessed that the body of Mary is something to Lord. So then this story continued, because this became a monastery, right? After this had happened, until when? Until 637 or 38 AD. This is the time that Persians went to take Constantinople. They couldn't take the city of Constantinople, and on the way back, Persian army looted, attacked to every city, including Ephesus. There's a big fire, and the life almost finished in here. They went to live by the St. John's Basilica, and unfortunately, Persian soldiers realized that there were a lot of gold relics in the monasteries. And we don't know how, but unfortunately they found the monastery right here. When the archaeologists, no worries, we have a very good driver, an experienced driver. Indeed, all the drivers are good in Turkey. Bad ones are already dead. If he's alive, he's a good one. No. His name is Ibo, right? He's a perfect driver. We're still alive. He's alive and I'm alive. So that's a good clue for you. So well, so we are going to be there soon, shortly, right behind these trees. So the archaeologists, they just found remains of several houses of where the monks used to live, and a thick layer of fire in the houses from that era. So that's why this location is abandoned. Every monk living over there slaughtered and hidden in the history until Aunt Catherine Emmerich find it in her visions. But on the other hand, remember, this is the town of Selçuk, right? Modern Ephesus down there. Today it's a big town, but at 19th century when this discovery was done, that was a town of 4,000 or 5,000 people. 2,000 Christians were living in there. We have a very small group of Christians living there now. Hopefully we do have no. And the Greek Orthodox people were not coming to this location. They couldn't find the location, but they were coming to this mountain to celebrate Assumption of Mary every 15th of August. Because for Greek Orthodox people, that's a very special day, and they always roast a goat or lamb and share it together with wine. So that is the proof, traditionally since 2,000 years time, that the Greek Orthodox people were believing, the ones living in the area, that Mary is something from this mountain. So no, now every 15th of August, Bartholomew, the Patriarch of Greek Orthodox people, are coming here, and they almost closed the location for the visitors because we have a big church where Pope Paul was there, and then after Pope Paul, right, we had two more popes paid visit here, John Paul II in 1979 and Benedictus XVI 2006, and Benedictus XVI led a huge mass right by the house sites that I'm going to show you this one as well. So shall we arrange this? There is a button on the right hand side, the red button, and when you press the red button there will be a light coming.